traveling to all these different cities, one thing that's really crystallized to me that I think is a huge misconception about what it means about like the elite. Like you say, it's the broadly defined elite.
Yes.
People like to say it's the billionaires, it's the billionaires, it's the billionaires.
The billionaires.
Yeah. I mean, like Bernie to his credit, he's gotten it out there. He's whatever. I'm not here to defend billionaires whatsoever. But the issue of inequality in the country is so much bigger than billionaires.
Yes.
There's 900 billionaires. Yeah.
They are a drop in the drop in the drop of the bucket.
Yes.
The issue, look, in some places are actually coming up too. You know, like, I mean, New York's a great example. Just in the period that we've lived here, I mean, 3.5, almost 4 years, it's gotten better. I mean, it definitely has. And like Buffalo, we just got back from Buffalo. Buffalo, it's just clearly, it's like doing well. It's, you know, you see it and you're like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. People are moving back here. Businesses are opening up. And then when you look at other cities, you know, it's interesting to go to all these different places and you realize too, like, yeah, the politicians are also only part of it too. Everything talks about politics and the politics of this place or the leadership. But in reality, it's everyday people. And then if they start doing something good, then people move in. And they also know you go to a place like Cleveland, dude, they're not waiting for the government to do anything. Like they've given up. You go to Detroit, they're like, the government's they're like, the government's not going to fix our problems. We got to do it ourselves. Yeah. And then once people actually start doing that and they get a little bit of money to do it, then it starts to come back and things start to improve and whatever. So long as you have the people there with, you know, people there to do it still. But
Pinker wrote a great book called Enlightenment Now, I think back in 2018. You ever read this?
I've read parts of it. I didn't read the whole thing. Yeah.
So he breaks down human culture around the world improving statistically over time across all these different variables. He does a beautiful job. And it's a great concept. He's looking at things during a time where everyone's fighting is like, hey, it's more positive than not. And almost every variable, we're at the top of the line right now. There was one spot. It's like sometimes you take a little step back, but I forget, I haven't read it in a while. There was like 1 or 2 spots where we took a little step back for a minute, but he's like, here's why it'll improve again. And so that's all great. And basic things so that less people are dying of things they would have died of 100 years ago around the world. That's awesome. But there's one extremely concerning chart within the United States, and it also exists globally, and it's why we're seeing all these different political movements that happen. I know you guys have covered some of this stuff and asked people about it. But like the chart of the separation, the death of the middle class is what I'll call it, from the early 1980s until today is a fucking V. You don't want a V. And it's showing that the concentration of wealth is so high among a select few that the rest of the masses and population are getting into a more and more hopeless situation, such that you guys, the videos of the neighborhoods really just puts an amazing visual on it. But that is when you look at, I mentioned earlier, like the fall of Rome. When you look at things as to why empires like that fell, they fall in on themselves before there's any enemies at the gate. And a common thread there is that an elite class forms. Elite is very broad as a term there. And a main class gets left behind. And the main class gets bigger in numbers and the elite class gets bigger in wealth and tighter as a club. And if you can't see that that problem has not improved over the past decade, which is interesting because that's like post-Trump, whatever, I can't help you. It has not improved. And again, the people you're talking to on the ground, there's plenty of people in those neighborhoods. They're nice people. I don't want to like wave this wand and say because you got a gate on your house, you suck. Totally. That's not how it is. There's just there's a lack of thought on things. And maybe it's just because I view the world very differently. And I don't gravitate towards people like that like it especially pisses me off. But I don't know, man. At some point, you know, putting your fucking 12th garage in while kids are starving and their parents have college degrees that they're 40 years later still trying to pay for, that's when people will go into the streets. And I hope that doesn't happen, but like that's where things go.
I think traveling to all these different cities, one thing that's really crystallized to me that I think is a huge misconception about what it means about like the elite. Like you say, it's the broadly defined elite.
Yes.
People like to say it's the billionaires, it's the billionaires, it's the billionaires.
The billionaires.
I mean, like Bernie to his credit, he's gotten it out there. He's whatever. I'm not here to defend billionaires whatsoever. But the issue of inequality in the country is so much bigger than billionaires.
Yes, there's 900 billionaires. Yeah,
they are a drop in the drop in the drop of the bucket. Yes. The issue, I'd say we've identified all over the country. Okay, you're born and you go to whatever good private school, then you go to every good college, and you become a software engineer for Microsoft. Dude, you're on a path to making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they don't realize how privileged they are to have that money, right? I hate to use the word privilege because it's so politically co-opted, but like, dude, you go work as a developer for some big tech company for 5 years. You're making 400, 500 grand, and you're probably a Zoran voter because you think the billionaires are the problem. It's like, well, no, like it's that to me, like it's this more, it's like a more of a, because the elite keeps growing. I mean, like for a large portion of the country, like things are great and they've never been better and they're only going to get better, right? Under those conditions. But it's for all the people who before they would have gone and worked in a factory. Maybe they weren't going to be rich, but they would have been able to have a little house. They would have been able to take their kids on vacation. They believe their kids are going to have a better life. That's what has been totally lost for a huge swath of the population. And people are like, oh, it's fear mongering. It's not, things aren't that bad. So the reason we started the YouTube channel really last year, it was when I had the election and we started going around to swing states talking to people, and the juxtaposition of hearing Kamala go up there and talk about joy, 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 joy. And then then you go to Detroit or Flint, Michigan, and you're like, but somehow that's like, I don't know. And that's what Trump hit on. I mean, Trump again, not to one way or the other.
Trump spoke to those people.
Trump spoke to them.
100. Listen, you can think he's a total liar. You can think it's total bullshit, and he really looks on those people with disdain. There's an argument to be made there. Maybe that is the case, but he at least faked it really well. Just like Mom Donnie faked it really well and went to all the neighborhoods that flipped for Trump, in the last election and said, hey, I'm not judging you. Why'd you do that? And they went like this.
Totally. By the way, I'm not an eat the rich guy, but I think your point is spot on that some people are so opulent, like so over the top with their wealth, so extravagant that to me, it's a more, I think it's hard to judge because, by the way, the way we live in some places of the world is already over the top and extravagant. They'd be like, you could live more simply. So I get that it's relative, but there's like such a culture of flexing and owning just these absurd things. Invest in your communities. Maybe this is some part of history that people romanticize, but like, invest in beautify your city, like the Medici in Florence. Like, I know that, I'm sure the Medicis, if you've like read some, underground or talked to some town crier, they would have been like, they're evil, they're pedophile, they have sex slaves, whatever. Like, and we would have hated the Medici. But like, just that ethic, whether a bit of a myth or not, that is important. Beautify your cities. Quit buying that extra Lambo. It's absurd, especially when so many people are suffering. And yeah, you're not evil to go into private equity or work at McKinsey. I know many people. And by the way, I don't think it's as simple as those are evil. But a lot of places that have widened inequality, like that is bad. And so I'm not saying you're evil for getting a job. It's understandable. I have friends in both. But yeah.
But even at the peak of the Gilded Ages, they did that in America. I mean, like Carnegie libraries all over the place. If you go to, I don't know about New York well enough, but if you go to Pittsburgh or Cleveland, those buildings were built by people who wanted to help their city prosper. And it was a sense of this. And this is something that like, Tim Dillon's talked about a ton, where it's like being an American, people don't even think about what it is to be an American. It's like, essentially it's like, citizenship, this whole idea, like they don't have any tie to their kin, like to whatever. They just want to make money. And it's this thing that has taken form in so many different things where it's like people just don't give a shit about anything. And it's like, and somehow they think that they're helping the public good. Again, just to get back to the BLM sign on the gated house, dude, that right there is such a it's not just annoying and obnoxious. It's a huge issue. It's like, just, that's not the solution. You have the means and they're not helping solve issues. It happens
they
everywhere.
would call those same people, would call the cops if someone of a different race showed up within 100 yards of their door.
Totally.
And which, just that's a them problem, by the way, obviously, in case that wasn't clearly obvious there. It's like, that's the kind of lecturing you're doing. Like, do you see what kind of other planet you're living on? I don't, in my previous career, when I worked on Wall Street, I was obviously not a fit there, but I had a chance to work on accounts of the ultra high net worth individuals. Okay, these are people who quite literally made more money in 1 minute than I made in salary in a year. I am so grateful I got that experience, and it's not all for the negatives either. I got to see people who were wealthy and lived right and didn't have any problems and put their money towards good causes quietly, wore off-brand clothing, you know, walked around in jeans, didn't give their kids fucking everything, made them go out and do shit on their own. Like, I saw examples of that. People who started businesses, employed a lot of people, and I would always point out, like, and I'd meet these people, I'd be like, oh, that's a hero. That's the one you want to look up to. So those people exist. Then I'd see the other side. And that phrase, mo money, mo problems, is the realest fucking thing ever because the people would invent problems. They were miserable. They had to keep up with the Joneses. Oh, this guy bought this private jet that's fucking I don't know how many square feet, so I need to buy that one. That's that. And I'm just like, the fuck it. I have an oil leak in my ceiling. I think my life's fine. You know, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm doing fine. Like, why do you have to be like this? You're not happy at the end of the day. So it's really a double tragedy in a lot of ways because a lot of these people drink themselves to sleep at night to tell them they're happy living in this fucking 15-room, 45-bathroom fucking mansion that they can't keep up with, and they're not. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.